Rock with Derek Scott.
Hey, hey, baby, where do you think you're running to? Hey, hey, baby, don't you think it's time? Stars are shining, up above the moon is bright. My heart's pining, don't you think it's time? Time to hold you so tight, hugging and kissing all through the night. Time to say I love you. Hey, 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 boom, boom, baby, can't you hear the church bells chime? They keep singing, don't you think it's time? And kissing all through the night. Time to say I love you. Hey, 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 boom, boom, baby, can't you hear the church bells chime? They keep singing, don't you think it's time? Hey, hey, baby, where do you think you're running to? Hey, hey, baby, don't you think it's time? Stars are shining, up above the moon is bright. My heart's pining, don't you think it's time? Don't you think it's time? Don't you think it's time?
Mike Berry and a hit from 1962, Don't You Think It's Time. Mike first came to prominence in the early 60s. He returned to the charts in the early 80s, having also branched out into modelling and acting. I'm Derek Scott and I had the pleasure of interviewing him at the 12th Bournemouth Rock and Roll Party. We started by talking about how he first got started.
Well, I started in the skiffle era, and I was singing with a little skiffle group I got together called the Rebels, and then somebody got to know me, and they put me together with four guys, who had electric guitars and stuff and wanted to form a band. And to cut a long story short, we became Kenny Lord and the Statesmen. And
you were Kenny Lord, were you?
I was Kenny Lord.
Uh-huh.
Kenny Lord Statesman, see? Look clever, eh? No. Anyway, so that was the first electric guitar. And we never actually did gigs with that band. We just used to rehearse every week because we just enjoyed playing.
Yeah.
And through a friend I was working with in the print, we found out about a place where we could make a demo in Wandsworth in South London, where actually I now live. I was a North London boy, but anyway, we went to this place. John Hawkins, the guy's name was, and he just set it up in his front room but it was proper recording gear because he was a recording engineer. And Kenny Lord and the Statesmen recorded 4 tracks there. Peggy Sue Got Married, Bebopalula, Dream Lover, and Please Don't Tease. And when I played it to this friend of mine who I was working with in the print, Alan his name was, because he was with the skiffle group himself, he took it to a guy called Peter Raymond, or his real name was Peter Yaquinandi, and they used to call him Yak, and the skiffle group was called the Yakkers. But anyway, that's another story. But so Peter Raymond, in effect, became my first manager. He took the record to Joe Meek, and also to Jack Good, who did Oh Boy, and they both wanted to see me. So I went to see Jack Good first, and he had it all sorted out. I was going to make a record the next week, had the song, and he got it all. I was going to be on Oh Boy and all that. Or probably no, that had finished. I think probably Boy Meets Girls or whatever the next one was. And but then a few days later, I went to see Joe Meek, and Joe because Jack Good said, "Well, you'll be the next Adam Faith." I thought, well, yeah, so what, fair enough. But when I saw Joe Meek, he said, "I want to make you my British Buddy Holly." And that appealed to me much more. And he said, "I'll have an album sleeve with a ghostly picture of Buddy and a picture of you on the front, on top of that." And he got all this idea for this. And I thought, yeah, sounds great. So I went with Joe Meek, because that was when I first signed a recording deal with my grandma as because I was underage. You see.
Yeah. Had to have someone.
And my grandma was my guardian at the time, because my mother and father split up, and Mum was in America, and so she witnessed the sick and got and signed it on my behalf and all that, and I was signed up to Joe Meek as this so-called British Buddy Holly. I was still Michael Bourne then, my own name, and Kenny Lord as he'd heard me, so I was still Kenny Lord, I suppose. And anyway, it took ages to get the first record out, and we did the first recording, and it was sent to Decca, and they turned it down.
Oh, right, yeah.
And they said, we don't like the song. It was a song called Set Me Free that Peter Raymond, this manager guy, had written.
Yeah, yeah.
And they said, but we do like the singer. Will you cover this record? And the record to cover was the Shirelles' Will You Still Love Me Tomorrow?
Oh, yeah.
They said, because it's not going to come out in England. And so we can put it out under this singer of yours, who again I didn't know who it was, and I can't remember what he sent the tape under, what name when he sent it in, because I wasn't Mike Berry at that point. And so anyway, having sort of turned me down with that song, and then I did Will You Still Love Me Tomorrow, which was dreadful and died a death, and I was still working in the print at that point, and so that was my first record. In answer to your question, that's how I started.
Tonight you're mine completely. You give your love so sweetly. Tonight the light of love is in your eyes. But will you love me tomorrow? Say this a lasting treasure, or just a moment's pleasure? Can I believe the magic of your sighs? Will you still love me tomorrow? Tonight with words unspoken, you said that I'm the only one. But will my heart be broken when the night meets the morning sun? I'd like to know that your love is love I can't deserve. So tell me now, and I won't ask again. Will you still love me tomorrow? So tell me now, and I won't ask again. Will you still love me tomorrow? Will you still love me tomorrow? Will you still love me tomorrow?
And from what you've said, when you did record the tribute to Buddy Holly, it appealed to you because you were also a fan.
Well, I was, but it was just, the thing is, I was so naive and so young. I just did as I was told. You never, the men, the men in suits were the people that ran the business, and this man was a recording manager, and I thought, wow, he's obviously knows what he's doing. But when I heard the song, I obviously liked the tune, and the gimmick of being a tribute to Buddy was, and it was a gimmick, but it never occurred to me, really. I just thought, well, I think he's great, Buddy Holly. Mind you, I liked him no more than Little Richard or Fats Domino or Jerry Lee or Elvis, really. I loved all those guys before Buddy Holly, really.
Yeah.
I mean, Little Richard was the first one that blew my socks off, and I thought, wow, what is this? And then I heard Hound Dog and stuff, and I thought, yeah. And then a little later, it was Buddy Holly, and Buddy Holly grew on me. But anyway, the thing was, I was a natural mimic. I could mimic these people, all of them. I mean, I used to sing like them. And it's not so much the tone of voice, which you try and get, it's the mannerisms that they use.
Yeah.
So with Elvis, you do
Yeah.
and then with Buddy Holly, and you'd smile when you sang, and you do the hiccups. And with Jerry Lee, you do the growls and the shouts and all that.
Oh, yeah.
So I used to do all that stuff.
Yeah.
But Joe was looking for a Buddy Holly, so I was going to be his Buddy Holly. And Peggy Sue got married. When he heard that, he thought, wow, this is the guy. And so, but the first record died a death. It got played on Radio Luxembourg and stuff, but it wasn't. Shirelles was so much better. And mainly because I did it in too high a key. Because when I was recording it, we'd done a load of takes, and I thought, oh, God. And I was sort of straining away to get them. And I said to Joe Meek, I said, I think it's a bit high. I said, can we take it down? I mean, which was a really stupid thing to say.
Yeah.
They're all string arrangements, all written out. They couldn't just change the key. These guys read what was there, and that was all they could do. So he said, you should have expletive thought of that before. The expletive being an F. Yeah. You should have thought of that before, he said, and I had to just do it. And it was strained. The voice was, it was terrible. And I really had trouble living that record down. And it was about 9 months before I got Tribute to Buddy Holly out. It was forever. And I thought, what is going on here? Yeah. If I'd have gone with Jack Good, I'd have been on the TV in the next week or two. Yeah. I'd have been the new boy in the show. I'd have had the new record out. I'm not sure about the song, actually, because the song was called Not Guilty. And it was actually recorded. I didn't do it, obviously, because I didn't go with Jack Good. And a guy called Johnny DeLittle recorded it, and it didn't do anything. And I thought, and he had quite a good voice, and I thought, well, that wouldn't have done anything for me either, I don't suppose. Yeah, but it worked out in the end, anyway. Well, anyway, having gone with Joe, and then Tribute to Buddy Holly, that was in the charts, and I was still working in a music shop at that point. I was in the print as an apprentice for 3 years, and they said, you've got to stop your singing because you're coming in late, otherwise you had to stop your apprenticeship. You know, you had an indenture, you had to serve 6 years. And so I went to see Joe, and I said, they've said that I've got to pack the singing in, otherwise they're going to kick me out of my job. Otherwise I have to give my job up. He said, I'll give your job up. Yeah, I mean, how irresponsible was that? That job was a job for life. Oh, yeah. In its day. It wasn't as it happens because the computers blew it all out of the water. But so I left the print, and then I had to get a job because I still wasn't earning any money. Very much. By then, Joe had named me Mike Berry and the Outlaws, but had been brought into the family. I forgot to mention the Outlaws, They were the Stormers, Billy Gray and the Stormers, who this Peter Raymond knew. Oh, yeah. And Joe said, the Statesmen aren't good enough for Mike, so I need another band. And Peter said, I've got the very band. And anyway, brought the Outlaws in with Chaz Hodges and then Bill Carr and those guys, Bobby Graham and Reggie Hawkins. And they became my band. I was the singer and they were the band. I remember we were standing at the top of the stairs in Joe's flat, which was his studio. Yeah. And he said, right, he said, you're going to be the Outlaws, he said. And he said, you're going to be Mike Berry, he said, because of Holly Berry. Because you're going to be my buddy Holly. Oh, God. I thought, well, I got off light. At least it wasn't Ricky Wilde or whatever, you know, and Eager and Savage and all those names. Oh, yes. They were Larry Parnes stable. Very much the Larry Parnes names. So I got off light, I thought. But in fact, I was wrong. I should have had an outrageous name and I should have done some outrageous things on stage. But I just thought having a good voice was all you needed. So anyway, so on we went and we did the tribute, and that became a hit. But I was working in Berry's music. That's only a coincidence. Yeah. Berry's music shop in Hackney, because I knew Berry's music shop. They had about 12 branches all over London, and I used to hang around in there down in Haringey where I lived, and talk to the guy there because I was interested in guitars and the music stuff they had in there and amplifiers. And anyway, I was working in Berry's music shop in Hackney, walking up Mare Street, looking at the NME, and there I was in the charts. And I didn't even know.
Didn't even know.
And I still had a job, £7 a week I was earning. And I was a star. So anyway, that was the start of it, really. That was the start when it started to take off. And we went up to Cavern and played at the Cavern with the Beatles and everybody and all that. And we were the big deal from London because we'd been on the radio and we had a hit record and stuff like that. So, yeah, that was it. That was the start of it all, really.
Whoa, yeah. Snowing, wind was a-blowing, when the world said goodbye, buddy. But still I know that up in heaven is where we'll hear him sing again. Whoa. Buddy Holly was killed in a plane crash in 1959, but his songs will always be remembered. Always.
Great music and the best variety. Meridian Radio.
This is Derek Scott. You're listening to an interview with singer and actor Mike Berry. Did you see the film Telstar, the biopic of Joe Meek, for the listeners who may not have seen it because it didn't do very well, unfortunately?
No, I did. Somebody lent me a DVD of it and I started to watch it and I couldn't watch it all. It was so far removed from what I knew. Mm-hmm. I thought, and I could see why they'd done it, because they had to try and spike it up.
Because I was going to ask you, whether working with Joe Meek was anything like it was portrayed in the film.
No, because Joe, you wouldn't be as cheeky as that lot were. They were really lippy and flash, which is like now kids.
Yes.
Kids then weren't like this. They were teddy boys and in a mob. They weren't like that, And the band, when we were there, the Outlaws, and they'd been around a bit in relative terms. They were still only, 19 or at the most. And but they were. We when we went to the studio, went there to work. We didn't play them up. We didn't. We weren't loud. And if we had been, he'd have told us to shut up. But Joe wasn't screaming and shouting all the time.
No.
He was a very quiet, gentle man, and he was interested in his music. He didn't like you contradicting him or going against his opinion. You had to be very careful how you phrased it as to what you were meaning, in terms of letting him down gently. If he thought it was rubbish, you couldn't just go say that's dreadful, and if you did, he'd sling you out. So you had to say, well, maybe and you try and manipulate it towards a better way of being.
But there was none of this sort of throwing things out the window.
Well, he did, yes, but that was just very rare occasions. In the film, they condensed it all into 1 hour and a half movie or whatever it was. Yeah. But no, I mean, he threw a tape recorder after Clem Catini, and he threw some scissors at my guitarist, Bill, because Bill had the temerity to ask for his money. Ooh. Yeah, Joe didn't like paying people. He never paid anybody that I knew. I think Hines was the only one that got anything out of it. And even Hines, when he was finished with Joe, a lot of it was on lease. I think he had a boat and he had a car, and it was all taken back because it was all sort of leased and stuff. So Joe never paid anybody, to my knowledge. If he could help it, he didn't pay people. And he didn't seem to think there was anything wrong with that. He thought all success was due to him. Nothing to do with anybody around him. You know, if you were the singer, you just happened to be lucky to find Joe Meek, and that was the way he was. You know, he was creating the sounds, and you were just another instrument he was manipulating, which was cobblers, of course, because he was actually, you know, he had some good singers through his hands.
Oh, yeah.
Turned some good ones down, as far as I know. Rod Stewart, for one, as far as I know.
Oh, right, yeah. Oh, well, you can't always have it.
Possibly even Tom Jones.
Oh,
yeah, he had a few there.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Then you had another big hit with "Don't You Think It's Time," didn't you? That's
right. Well, we had a couple of flops before that, I think. I think we had "Just a Matter of Time," which we thought was going to be a hit, and I did "Thank You Lucky Stars," my first television. And then I think we had a song called "Every Little Kiss." But Joe wrote that song, but he wrote it over the backing track of "Will You Still Love Me Tomorrow?" You can hear this dun 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 dun. You know, tonight you're mine completely. It would have been. So on this one it was dun dun dagga dagga dun dun dagga dagga dun dun dun. Every little dagga dagga dun kiss you give me da da dum seems to thrill. And the way it was written was so bad. It was just wasn't. Anyway, Robert Stigwood, who was a big manager at the time and still is huge now, multi-millionaire now, had the Bee Gees and Cream. But prior to that, he had John Layton and Mike Sarn, Billy Davis, and he signed me up on the strength of that "Every Little Kiss." He thought it was going to be a hit. And I remember doing a TV show on BBC Two called Twist. David Jacobs was the compere, and the Jeff Love Orchestra we played live. I sang that song live to this Jeff Love Orchestra, and it was too fast. Every little kiss you give me, da 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 da. Oh, God, man, I just had to do it. I just had to go with it. Instead of saying, we didn't routine it properly. There you go. Anyway, so there we were. I signed with Robert Stigwood and went on tour with the Stones and people then.
Although Mike continued to have hits on the continent, the hits dried up in the UK. He turned to modelling and acting. Can I ask you about the acting as well?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
I mean, I know you were in Wurzel Gummidge.
That's right, yeah.
And of course, you then went into, I think if I've got my chronology right, you went into Are You Being
Served? Yeah. Well, the thing is, I was doing commercials before any of those. I'd done a little bit of amateur dramatics, but I was the king of the commercials. I was doing so many commercials. Mm-hmm. I joined this agency in early 70s when I was with York Records as well, and I gradually was getting more and more modelling work, doing photographic modelling and TV ads and stuff, until I finished. I was their top man in the end, and I don't know why. I just used to go into these interviews, or you'd have 4 or 5 people sitting there, the ad agency and the producers and the director, and I just used to sell myself to these people and say, "I'm your boy," you know. And I used to always leave with a line. I used to say, "I hope you find who you want, and I hope it's me." and often enough they fell for that. Yeah. Well, I mean, they probably thought I was okay for it anyway. So I did loads of them. Anyway, on one of the commercials for TV Times, I worked with this director called James Hill, and we were in this tiny little newsagent, actually in a newsagent shooting this. And he couldn't get near it as a director because all the lights and the cameras and everything. So I was with this little kid working, and I was directing the kid and telling him, translating what was needed. I said, "Enough, you stand there." And he saw me working with this kid, obviously. This is in hindsight, I can tell that. And as we were leaving, we got on really well. And he said, "I might have a job for you." He said, all I remember is hearing something about Wurzel. And I thought he was a TV producer for the Wurzels.
Oh, yeah.
Well, he knows I sing, probably, and so he thinks I'll be good on the Wurzel show. I thought I'd be singing a song on the Wurzel show. Yeah. Anyway, I got a phone call a few weeks later, I suppose it was, or maybe a couple of weeks later, from this woman who said, "Oh, Mr. Hill would like you to come down and read for this Wurzel Gummidge." And then the penny dropped. Oh, Wurzel, because I remembered it on radio as a kid. Although John Pertwee said it never was on radio, but I know it was. Anyway, it was on, and so I went down and I read for the part, and he said, "Yeah," and he was looking at me, and I said, "I know what's wrong." I said, "I don't look old enough, do I, for the dad? Don't look dad enough." He said, "No." He said, "But well, we can fix that." Anyway, so they stuck a moustache on and a cloth hat and a pair of National Health glasses, and there I was, Mr. Peters, and the father of the children in Wurzel Gummidge. Great, what a lovely show that was to do. Yeah. It's one of the best times in my life, really. And then from that, knowing John Pertwee, my agent at the time, I was complaining to John Pertwee. I said, "He's keeping my money from Wurzel." He said, "It's not coming through." He said, "What?" He said, "Get rid of him." He said, I'll put you with Richard Stone." So I'll have a word with Richard Stone, who was a big agent. He had Benny Hill and Frankie Howard and all these big, John Pertwee. And he had all these big names. And he said, "I'll have a word with Richard," he said. So anyway, he said, "You drop him a line and I'll talk to him." Anyway, I dropped him a line, said, "I'm looking for an agent." John Pertwee said he could recommend me, blah, blah. So I went with this Richard Stone. And because I went with Richard Stone, I know this is a bit of a long story, but sorry about this.
No,
he also looked after David Croft.
Oh, yeah.
Who wrote Are You Being Served, Dad's Army, Heidi High and all that stuff. No, did he write Heidi High? I can't remember. Anyway, he wrote a load of stuff. But and so he obviously rang Richard Stone first and said, "Look, we need somebody for Are You Being Served? We're doing another series. Trevor Bannister can't do it. Have you got anybody?" And Richard Stone said, "Got the very man, me." And that was it. So he liked what I did, old Richard. He was great, and because I just had a big hit record as well, so he wasn't averse to taking me on. Oh, yeah. I remember him asking me how much I was earning, and I said I was something like 10,000 quid or something a year, I think it was, for a commercial, which was a lot of money then. Oh, yeah. And he said, "What sort of money are you earning?" Because he needed to sort of make sure I was. And when I told him, he sort of went, he was a bit sort of shocked. And so, and it was straight. In fact, I probably underestimated it.
Oh, yeah.
But anyway, so he took me on. And then, because he put me with David Croft, and I went to read for David Croft and Jeremy Lloyd, read the part, and they said, yeah, you'll do. And so I got the part for Mr. Spooner.
And how many series did you do of that?
I did 3 series.
3 series.
And 4 series of Wurzel and 3 series of Are You Being Served.
And that was when, presumably, Are You Being Served finished, did it? After that?
Yep, I did the very last episode. That was when they made me a pop singer. I won a talent show. And I had these really tight red suede trousers on, and a glittery shirt, and I had this blonde flash in the hair. They really did a number, and the shades on. I look a real Wally. And but it was great. It went out really well, and the Americans loved it. Of course, the Americans loved this. I mean, the big stars were John Inman and Molly Sugden.
Yeah, but it's not the sort of thing that you necessarily think the Americans would find funny.
They love it.
Yeah,
the Americans watch it night after night. I mean, all right. It ran for 10 years overall, so and I only did the last 3. So they've got how many? So it's 70 episodes plus all the Christmas stuff. So they've probably got sort of 80 shows to watch, and they just run them on public broadcast television.
This is Meridian Radio.
Me someday when I'm gone from you. Someday you'll come a crying. Your poor heart is gonna be dying someday when I'm gone from you. feeling, you see. You come running right back to me. Someday, you're gonna want me. Someday, you're gonna miss me. Someday, when I'm gone from you.
Can I talk about the Crickets?
Yeah.
You've worked with the Crickets a couple of times, haven't you? You were on a tour they did back in the 60s.
Yes, I was in '62. That was with Bobby V Meets the Crickets.
Yeah.
I sang
Great
with,
album, It's
I
one of my
sang with
first
them. Yeah, it is
albums I
nice,
had.
yeah. My favourite song on there is Someday.
Oh, yeah.
Someday.
Yeah, that's really good. So, you worked with them then,
Yeah.
but more recently, you made an album with them.
Yeah, well, again, Chaz was involved, and we went over to did an album in J.I., their drummer's studio.
Yeah, Jerry Allison, yeah.
And it was pretty piano heavy because Chaz was there, so Sonny didn't get much guitar work in, not as much as I'd have liked. But it was still a good record, I think. It still got some go, and it was just nice to do it and be working with the Crickets as my band.
Particularly after
The tribute and Buddy Holly and all that. Yeah. But no, and I mean, in fact, J.I. had said to me a few years before we'd done a gig together. He said, when are you coming over to do some recording? And he's with us, and I said, I don't know. Because I was looking to go over there and pay for it myself with Sonny Curtis producing it, and I was going to do some Nashville recordings with a whole bunch of Nashville musicians, and it would have been great. But the guy that was backing it, he had to pull out because he went through a divorce and his wife took him to the cleaners.
Oh dear!
So that was that. Yeah.
Ah yes. Who was it recent? Oh yeah. I always think John Cleese chose badly where to get divorced. It cost him a fortune, didn't it?
Yeah.
Pardon me if I'm sentimental when we say goodbye. Don't be angry with me should I cry. I'm a fool, but I love you, dear, until the day I die. Now and then there's a fool such as I. And now and then there's a fool such as I am over you. You taught me how to love, and now you say that we are through. I'm a fool, but I love you, dear, until the day I die. Now and then there's a fool such as I. Now and then there's a fool such as I am over you. You taught me how to love, and now you say that we are through. I'm a fool, but I love you, dear, until the day I die. Now and then there's a fool such as I. Now and then there's a fool such as I. Now and then there's a fool such as I.
This is Derek Scott. You're listening to an interview with singer and actor Mike Berry. More after the break.
Great music and the best variety. Meridian Radio.
What doorstep traders say and mean can be very different things. For example, hello, I was passing and noticed the state of your roof.
Hello, your roof's fine, but I could make a fortune here.
Some doorstep traders mislead and some may steal. Saying no is not impolite, it's your right. For one-to-one advice, call Consumer Direct on 08454 04 0506.
Monday, 8 o'clock, and it's time for DCD. What's DCD, you ask? Dads Can't Dance. Monday night is DCD night, right here on Meridian Radio with Elwood.
Great music.
And the best variety.
Meridian Radio.
I wonder if are there any rock and roll records that you particularly, if it's still your favourites, and perhaps why?
Oh, blimey. Well, dear me, there are so many that I still love rock and roll records. No, they're not. I'll tell you, there's one I do. There's a couple I like that are quite obscure. Do you ever remember the Olympics?
I know the name.
They did I Wish I Could Shimmy Like My Sister Kate.
Oh, yeah.
And they also did Western movies. My baby loved the Western.
Yeah.
That was the Olympics. They're great, and nobody ever remembers it. And there was a record called I'm Going to Send You Back to Georgia by a singer called Timmy Shaw. If you ever get a chance to hear it, it's great. So I think it's on Specialty. And it's you had nothing when I met you, baby, but look what you got now. It was more sort of Tommy Tucker High Heel Sneakers era, that sort of early blues thing. But Timmy Shaw, Going to Send You Back to Georgia. What a record! It's fantastic. Anyway, that's not so much rock and roll. But I mean, the obvious ones are Little Richard's "Good Golly Miss Molly." It's on my jukebox. As soon as I hear that strike up and that voice. Was it down, and it comes in, good golly, miss. And it's the same the other night they had on the TV, that rock and roll story. Do you see it at all on BBC, on radio?
On
BBC 4 it was on.
I meant to.
It was great. And they showed you Little Richard singing, a few songs, but the first time he was ever seen in Don't Knock the Rock, black and white film, and he sang Long Tall Sally. And I remember my sister took me to see that. She's 6 years older than me, and she took me, and I was only about 12, 13. And when he came on, I said to her, "Who is that?" I was just blown away, and I heard it again the other night, and it had the same effect on me. So yeah, but Good Golly Miss Molly is the one on my jukebox. But Long Tall Sally was one of my favourites. I think Good Golly Miss Molly was slightly better recorded for some reason. It had a fatter sound, and Long Tall Sally got... But I just love that voice. Little Richard's got the ultimate feel and sound voice. Yeah.
I remember reading that he got fed up with people like Pat Boone covering his records, so he started singing them quicker.
Dreadful. Just dreadful. I mean, they showed Pat Boone singing one of the... I can't remember which one it was, one of the Little Richard. Tutti Frutti, I think it was. Bob Babaloo blob, Tutti Frutti. It was really naff. And in fact, but I remember those being bought when I was a kid. My sister used to buy all these 78s, and she bought that stuff, the white guys, and I bought the Little Richard stuff and the...
To save my soul, I can't get a date. My baby's got a tune on Channel 8. White and big Cheyenne, coming through the TV, shooting up the land. My baby loved the Western movies. My baby loved the Western movies. the Western movies. My baby loved the Western. Here's the story of the Central Wagon Train cars. A broken arrow has broken my heart. Jefferson drums with his restless guns all died, my baby, and the fight was won. My baby loved the Western movies. My baby loved the Western movies. My baby loved the Western movies. My baby loved the Western.
Rock with Derek Scott.
Good golly, Miss Molly, sure like the bone. Good golly, Miss Molly, sure like the bone. When you're rocking and a rolling, can't hear your mama call. From the early, early morning to the early, early night, when the come Miss Molly rocking at the house of blue light. Good golly, Miss Molly, sure like the bone. When you're rocking and a rolling, can't hear your mama call. Mama, Papa told me, son, you better watch yourself. If the new promise, Mama, have to watch my promise self. Good golly, Miss Molly, so like the ball. When you're rocking and a rolling, can't hear your mama call. Good golly, Miss Molly, so like the bone. Good golly, Miss Molly, so like the bone. When you're rocking and a rolling, can't hear your mama call. Going to the corner, gonna buy a diamond ring. When she hugged me and kissed me, made me ting-a-ling-a-ling. Good golly, Miss Molly, so like the bone. When you're rocking and a rolling, can't hear your mama call.
Two of Mike's favourite records from the rock era, Western Movies by the Olympics and Good Golly Miss Molly by Little Richard. Talk of Little Richard led to some advice for Paul McCartney.
I mean, Little Richard just was the governor. Absolutely Mr. Rock and Roll. There was nobody to touch him. I mean, I thought Paul McCartney did a great version of Long Tall Sally.
Oh, yeah, yes. Yeah.
And Paul McCartney had a great voice. I was watching Wings the other day. They did a show about Wings.
Oh, Wings Over
I'd
America
forgotten how
thing,
good they were. I mean, gee whiz, because his voice was something else. But as for other rock and rollers, there's...
Not now, though.
No, it's a shame. I just think it's because I don't know what it is. He's always had that very high voice, which is where all the money is. But I don't know, maybe his voice is shot. He should actually swallow his pride and go and have some singing lessons. I think you'd find it do it. I did.
Yes, yeah.
And I think you'd find it do him a lot of good if he would listen to anybody. But of course, the trouble is he's lived in an ivory tower for so long.
Oh, yeah.
He's not going to listen to anybody else.
No.
You know.
Well, I suppose it's not really in the interest of the employee to tell the boss.
Well, no, it isn't that. It's more a case of friends, of people that know him. If ever I saw him, I'd be able to say to him, your voice is, you're having problems with your voice. I would say, I had the same sort of thing, you know. I went for singing lessons, and you would not believe the difference. Well, before I went to singing lessons, I would tell him this too. 45-minute set, and I could hardly speak afterwards. When I went for singing lessons, I can play for 45 minutes plus, or an hour and a half straight off, singing all the way home. Still got the voice, because I'm doing it the right way. And it's very simple. It's all about pushing from the diaphragm and breathing properly, so you're not pushing from the throat.
Yeah.
But people don't understand what you mean by pushing. When you do it, you know. Because I know when I'm singing tonight, I'll have to remind myself to push, because the voice gets tired.
Yeah.
Because you're pushing from there, and it's you're not using the right parts of the body to sing. It's breath past the vocal cords is what you need.
Yeah.
So you've got to keep topping the breath up and pushing the diaphragm up. And I think Paul probably, I don't know, he's been lucky all his life. He's been able to sing, especially that wing stuff. I mean, the voice was blinding. And I just think he doesn't, I may be wrong, but either his voice is maybe just shot because he's unlucky, it's not going to last. My voice is better than when I was 18. You know, it's stronger because it's got a more depth to it, but the actual singing ability is different. I can hear it. I listen to my early recordings and they're terrible. I do much better stuff now.
Yeah, I wouldn't agree that the early ones were terrible, but certainly I would agree
to
that
me,
your voice.
I'm judging it vocally.
Is still very strong.
Well, it is very strong. I mean, have you heard that live album I did in Sweden?
No, I haven't, but I saw you at Dartford.
Well, that's a record to listen to, and you'll hear what I mean. That's a few years old now. That's probably 10 years old now. But and the Crickets album, the voice is much better on there, and that's sort of 5 years old. So I just know I've learned how to sing. Basically, it's all it is. I'm not bragging and saying I'm great. The instrument was there. I wasn't using it properly.
Yeah.
And McCartney's probably had some of the same problem, which is a shame because he was so good.
Oh yeah,
so good. I mean, and the musical ability of that man, mind-blowing. You know, beautiful tunes. I don't ever remember hearing a Beatles track that wasn't ace. The worst track of any of their stuff would be better than most other people's best effort. You know, they really are. The guys just got it. It's something you're born with, that head for melody.
Dear face that holds so sweet a smile for me, were you not mine, how dark this world would be. I know no light above that could replace love's radiant sunshine in your lovely face. Give me your smile, the love light in your eyes. Life could not hold a sweeter paradise. Give me the right to love you all the while, my world forever, the sunshine of your smile. Shadows may fall across the land and sea, sunshine from all the world may hidden be, but I shall see no clouds across the sun. Your smile will light my life till life is done. Give me your smile, the love light in your eyes. Life could not hold a sweeter paradise. Give me the right to love you all the while, my world forever, the sunshine of your smile, my world forever, the sunshine of your smile.
in the 80s, in 1980, you were back in the top 10, weren't you?
Yes. Well, that was my old mate Chaz Hodges.
Yeah, who had been in your band, didn't he?
Chaz and Dave. He was, because a lot of people don't realise his name's Chaz Hodges. He was in the Outlaws, and I knew him when he was 17. I was 18, and he'd worked with me right through the 70s. In fact, I had a couple of big hits in Europe that Chaz had played on.
Yeah.
So he'd either played on or produced all the hits I've had. Chaz has been involved with. On Tribute, he played bass. On Don't You Think It's Time, he played bass. On My Little Baby, he played bass. That was 3 hits with Joe. Then I had other songs that he played on. Then in the 80s, Sunshine of His Smile, he arranged the whole thing, played bass on it and acoustic guitar, and did all the string arrangement and produced it, and it was his idea. But prior to that, we'd done a re-recording of Tribute to Buddy Holly. It was #1 in Holland and Belgium. And Don't Be Cruel we had a hit with. That was Chaz wasn't on that, but that was a top 10 over there. And I had other stuff that we did that Chaz played on.
And you've obviously kept in contact with him, because I saw you on the Marty Wilde tour.
That's right.
And then we were at the Orchard Dartford, and he was actually there with you, wasn't he?
He was. He rang me up and said, well, he emailed me initially.
Yeah.
And said, I'm coming to see you. He said, what about me getting up? And I put it to Marty. I emailed Marty and said, Chaz is coming down. What about getting him up? It'd be great if he's on there. It'd be a nice little bit of publicity. And I didn't hear back. And I emailed Chaz and said, I haven't heard back, so I think no news is bad news.
Mm-hmm.
And then suddenly, I can't remember what happened now. I think I might have given Marty a nudge. Anyway, came back and said, get him down and we'll get him up and blah, blah. So the band were all up for it. And so I thought it worked really well.
It did, yeah.
And it was lovely having him on, because he's such a great musician, Chaz.
And I think it was a nice surprise for the audience as well. Cause,
absolutely,
no one knew.
No, that's right. It was nice.
Yeah.
And we should... there were other times we should have had other people on, but there aren't many people you could get on that would give the show a lift.
Oh, yeah.
I'm as old as Paul McCartney, and he's doing all right. So why have I this problem? Why can't I get it right? I'm as old as Paul McCartney, feeling older every day. I wish I had some wings, I'd like to fly away. I'd like to fly away. I love songs, I'm a silly oven here, silly love song. And I can boogie with the best, boogie woogie. I'm not just one of the rest, I'm one of the best. I am. Nobody listens to my song, nobody can. I wish I knew where I wish I knew was going wrong. I'm as old as Paul McCartney, and my life is on the line. You see, I haven't done the things he's done, and I'm running out of time. I'm as old as Paul McCartney, or maybe just a little bit more, but you can bet that he'll look 46 when I'm 64. I can't take much, my friends say. You're as good as him, as good as him. It's just a matter of time, to that lucky break. It's just a matter of time before that lucky. But it's been more than 20 years so far. I wonder why. I wonder just how long can a lucky break take? How long can it take? I'm as old as Paul McCartney, feeling older every day. I wish I had some wings so I could swiftly fly away.
I really loved the B-side to Sunshine Your Smile.
Oh,
I'm as old as Paul McCartney.
That's right. Yeah, I wrote that. Yeah, I wrote that with my ex-manager, my manager at the time, Joan Comlosey, and she'd been with Robert Stigwood in the '60s. At least her husband wasn't, and we wrote that song together. Yeah, I'm as old as Paul McCartney. Yeah, I think it was a great song.
Yeah.
Well, that was.
I did. I mean, at the time, on reflection, yes, I loved the Sunshine Your Smile, but I actually preferred that side.
Well, in fact, in some ways, so did I. Because I loved the band, a great band on that record, and Chaz said at the time, he said, I didn't really want to put that on. It was wasted on the B side because he thought it sort of chance of doing something, and so that was. But it is a great record. I heard it the other day for the first time for, blimey, 20 years probably. Yeah. Because I'm been remastering the CDs of Sunshine of Your Smile and the follow-up Memories. Oh yes, to put out as a double CD, double album, and with some extra tracks. But it's the extra tracks I'm sorting out. But I played that I'm as old as Paul McCartney, and I thought, it really works really well. And there's a wonderful guitar player on there, a guy called Jeff Whitehorn, who's played with some huge names, and he played on a lot of stuff of mine in the '70s. When Chaz was involved on playing piano, and this other guy was producing it, whose name I'm not going to mention because I don't like him, and he never paid me. So there we are. Yeah.
I'm Derek Scott, and it's been my pleasure to be in conversation with Mike Berry, actor and singer. Thanks for listening. Goodbye.